The Fall Guy has dropped in theaters, but is everything good to go in order to so see it? Welcome to Cinema, where we focus on the film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below if you've seen Fall Guy. Is it good, bad, or somewhere in the middle? Let me know all that. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're ready to join in this film culture community. But getting right into synopsis. After Colt Reeves has an almost career-ending accident, he has to solve a conspiracy, find the missing actor, and regain the love of his life while he's working his J job. Going right into positives, this is a love letter to stuntmen from the forefront that you just enjoy as a whole. I love the aesthetics to the film, the messaging provided, and the general aspects you get behind the background and foreknowledge of David Leitch as the director that has done so many good films such as Atomic Blonde, John Wick, Hobbs and Shaw, and all that, to which he has been a stuntman in the past before he became a director, and you see the knowledge that is put on screen, how everything is pulled off. It is fun, it has a lot of action, while also intermixing romance and mystery, a murder case that has all something to go and mix throughout, that has something for everyone, and just the general aesthetic to it is pleasing, it is fun, and it also has that mystery aesthetic that becomes entertaining and leaves you guessing how things are gonna all flow out. And the love between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, their acting is good, their chemistry, especially by the end, is good for how you're really getting to understand their relationship as a whole, and having the fun antics of everything being explosive and going in all sorts of directions can be something that is pleasing just as an entertainment aspect, that also has the good writing just for the stuntmen, the appreciation for them, the unsung heroes that are on screen but are always on the back burner, for the faces that always get blurred out or you don't see because they're behind the car mirror, that while you're focusing on the real actor that is giving all the voice, you're getting all of these stuntmen that are in the background doing their work, that pulls off the great stunts, having all those dangerous risks in order to do their, and going into the background and showing some of the exploration to some of their job, the safety precautions and everything go, then things that can go wrong and things you have to check out before it. It's not a documentary exploring that, but it goes about an entertaining way of exploring the vibe and life of a stuntman, even if it isn't necessarily meant to be based on any sort of true story, because it goes off the rails with how it takes some of those aesthetics and becoming knowledgeable about some of the writing, and becomes wisecracking with the way it puts its script and it gets right onto the screen with creating a film within the universe, while also taking some of those aesthetics, some of the writing, and applying that to the film we're watching ourselves. While they're talking about a split screen, it takes up split screen of what they're going on, of what the film we're watching, while they're talking about the film they're making. That becomes compelling in the nature, and I always love that good vibe, the self-acknowledgement of how you're going into it. And going around into some of the mixed elements, while I do like Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt as a whole, what their acting is and their chemistry on screen is good for what they're pulling off, you're not getting too much as a whole from their characters that really builds depth to the emotions or motives behind everything. You're getting something behind their focus on the film and their jobs as a whole, and you're understanding based on what the film is showing you that they're wanting to be together, or at least Ryan Gosling character as Colt wanting to be with her, and the separation that goes about along the way. There is a little bit of a slow aesthetic, and it's not always action-packed until certain scenes along the way, and so there is something that can throw you off based on things that people can oversell the action, where it's over action-packed when it ultimately isn't filled with action in every scene that you're getting, because you have so much to handle with the action and the romance and the mystery that is all going on throughout. That becomes still compelling by the nature of being a mix of multiple genres, but never really focusing in on one in a strong pursuit of becoming a mystery. And while there's always those subgenres, this carries a lot of genres that can work in some dilemmas, but isn't always free-flowing all throughout in the full nature of what it is going after, because it ultimately is going after being a love letter for stuntmen, pulling off all these great stunts, pulling off this stuntman story that is something that David Leitch is passionate about, and you see that on screen, but everything else can take a back burner if it isn't the film that works well for you by the aesthetics alone. And I also like to say, while the story does go about this realistic approach to these stuntmen going about a real world life job while also doing their own stunts, it is a film that is trying to suggest that this stuntman in real life, when he doesn't have all the precautions, should be doing real things and not always afraid when he's always doing all these safety precautions in the real world. And so the general aesthetic to that, it obviously goes to unbelievable circumstances of how he survives, how he fights off these enemies that are the bad guys that go about along the way. That isn't realistic if you're wanting to take that stretch of imagination, while on the back burner, this story is trying to approach the idea that when they have precautions, they're safe, and when you don't have precautions, obviously you can't prepare for the worst that is going on if you're doing a real heist story. And so it is having that aesthetic, if you're wanting to nitpick it, that in the real world, the vibe of what you're going for when they don't have the precautions, they're still going about unbelievable circumstances, but that brings about the fun action that can intermix whether you're really trying to get into the nitpicking of the film or not. But going into the negatives, there are parts about Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling's relationship, their chemistry on screen, that is good, but the characters involved don't always have to show from the get-go. It is a lot more from the tell on screen and the suggestion based on the camera that shows that they're going into the relationship and sort of have a connection with each other without really building up enough of their characters, their general connection to begin with, to understand what their past has been like and everything that goes on from that you're not necessarily learning about them as characters as a whole. And even from the end, you're getting the general connection why they are able to sell their chemistry, because they're good as an actor and actress to be pulled off as a good couple. But generally, you don't get the show of what their relationship is meant to be like, what their past or how they're connected to the present, and everything with their goals are in the future. That becomes compelling enough by the nature, but doesn't always have that show that gives enough information behind their connection together. And just the general flow of the story isn't always perfect. It can be far-fetched with what it goes about with its flow, and I generally enjoy the aesthetics of the action and the mystery that is intermixing along the way, but it can be a little bit too much on the nose with what it is doing, with its acknowledgement of the self-awareness or some general vibes of the flow and the action all throughout that goes about different twists and turns that can be a little bit too much at sense, and maybe this could be a one-watch sort of thing that has thrown it off. But just the general aesthetic from my first time watch of the film can be thrown off as a general approach to I had going into it expecting a ton of action that isn't completely action filled, and so that can just generally throw people off or throw me off for the general things of expectations of what you've been told and everything that goes about throughout. And therefore, I have to rate it a simply 7.5 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the Fall Guy. Was it good, bad, or everything in between? Let me know all that. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe when you're ready to join in this film culture community. And give you suggestions for any future videos down in the comments below. And be sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.